I'm going to give you the best explanation in the world. How to use your natural organic motor skills. Okay? How to think outside the mind. How to think instinctively and use your natural organic motor skills. That gives you a profound effect to change the circumstances on your reality. That changes the atmosphere around you and changes the atmosphere around everybody that's near you. So, we have to get our principality in the right place, okay? And that's our principles, our moral values, our moral instincts. Our principality is 8 tools called righteousness. You have to put them in front of every tool that you use. Loyalty, honor, respect, moral remorse, inspiration, and encouragement. They're the building blocks. They're your frequencies that you're in harmony with, that you conduct with every moment that you create, that you treasure the most through the atmosphere. So understand you've got a hell of a lot to gain because we're stripped from this ability. Beyond understanding, it's way outside the mind. Your placebo effect is 10 times more powerful than your reality. And I'm going to teach you the fastest way that a genuine mastermind will teach you. One of the biggest masterminds in the world, recorded on documents. So, I'm going to take you fast track with basic common sense, not model engineering. Think outside the mind. In the Matrix documentary, they tell you think instinctively and you'll tune out the program. The mind's a program. It's a high education with sophisticated knowledge that only makes you good at what you do on 5 sense and negative fields, but it oppresses you with voices in your mind that controls you and limits you as well. Think outside the mind. The light bulb idea, the vision that tells you 1,000 words. A whole different perception that you're disattached from. What do you think about something, right? Because it's the fastest education you will ever learn in your life, right? Think carefully. When you think critically, you have 2 voices in the mind always telling you do it, or don't do it, and you argue with yourself. It's called the human condition. It's got a mental institutionalization as well. It means that you're in your own prison and you become your own warden at the same time. Believe it or not, think outside the mind, don't think with the skull. Only use that 1 to 5% of time to work things out with. Your IQ space at 98%. Memory is a memory box. Thinking outside the mind is what we call instinctive thinking. Thinking instinctively. And that comes from your intuition. 40,000 cells that controls your biological system. Your biological system starts with gut feeling survival mode, the breed preservation mode, that activates the molecules. Right? That activates the molecules with 2 molecules in mentality that repairs your genes and immune system. That's what a child has from 0 to 7 with an accretion from adrenochrome. We oxidization in its adrenaline. That's the accretion that conducts its body cells with an outside influence, with a picture that tells you 1,000 words. And a child has this from 0 to 7 before he's programmed and engineered into education. So that's why you've got to listen carefully. A child, every child like you and I, Jesus was a child like you and I, didn't know who he was, why was he in the meaning of life was. And he went through a special education for 17 years of reading the Bible. How to master his mind and think outside the mind. And then he discovered tools he never knew he had. Like you break free from amnesia. And you discover things about yourself that's way beyond your mindset. Tools that you can use. A child from 0 to 7 is using his natural organic motor skills to think outside the mind, not with his mind, because he hasn't got the education yet. As a result from this, he creates the accretion, the Christ oil, to conduct his body cells with a shiver in his spine known as Jacob's ladder. That's the 33-degree Freemason steps, the 33 spinal discs. That's your tree of life, the Neuralink inside you. When the chakra is activated with a gut feeling survival mode, your body cells are on fire. You can feel an outside influence, and you're pumped with adrenaline to be alert, or like a child. You know, they always say a terrible child is their terrible twos, and it lasts until they're 7 till they go to school, then they slow down and become dormant, and then become educated. And then by the time they're 24, when a stranger comes to the door, a child at 4 years old, when it's a bad person, runs the corner. And the parents can manipulate 10 seconds later to be that person's okay because they come to their conclusion with reasoning, with voices in their mind, with a high IQ. So they can't feel the truth. They can't feel with their 6th sense, they're stripped from it. So when a good person comes to the door, a child and a dog runs towards that person in a heartbeat, and a parent turns and say, oh, the dog's taking too, I don't know why. Ask yourself why he doesn't. Bruce Lee mastered his mind, and he can move 7 times faster than anyone can think by the time he was 24. And you're not like that. You get manipulated at the door. or you don't know why. And that's what you have to understand. You get confused in the mindset that you program into with a high education, a high IQ, with voices in your mind that tells you to do that. So they control you and limit you from using your natural motor skills. When you think outside the mind, you have an amazing ability. The light bulb idea, the picture tells you 1,000 words, where the biggest masterminds in the world come from. The ones that use that outside influence in their reality. To master the mind, not be mastered by mind, the voice in the mind that oppresses you and limits you so much. So you become your own warden and your own slave at the same time. Okay? Your own prisoner, trapped in your mind. To master the mind, Jesus explains very specifically. Go back to your childhood for this reason. A child between 3 and 7 is pumped with adrenaline, creating the right creation with the outside influence. The outside influence and reality that change the circumstances. A child between 3 and 7 will mastermind a computer game and move 7 times faster than any adult can. Any adult. He can not only feel the truth at the door, but he can move 7 times faster than any adult can. Pumped with adrenaline to be alert, alike when awareness terrible twos. Running around flat out into nowhere. Thank God they're little so we can catch them. Because otherwise we can't keep up with them. So they're flat out and creating the accretion that repairs their genes and mission in most positive fields. And they can only think with their sixth sense, with the outside influence of reality, because they can't think with their mind yet. So when they go to school, the first thing they get told, you got voice in you, you got someone that's guiding you in the computer game. You must be crazy, you must have psychosis. No, son, you're talking to yourself. So they convince you you're talking to yourself. And that's what a psychiatrist says, who's an atheist, using those tools, with a high education. And what happens here is IQ makes you damn good at what you do with the voices in the mind that controls you all the time, but it also limits you. So a psychiatrist says if you're talking to yourself, it's normal, and that's what the teacher tells you, that's what your parents tells you, and they're confused about this. And if you're talking to someone else, they say you've got psychosis. Well, you convey feelings to thoughts with your body cells and the outside influence of reality and explain your own biological language. So the voice in the mind is in the 6 and 9. You know 6 and 9, yin and yang? The 6 is the dark tunnel that you live in, the rabbit holes. And you're in the tunnel with the dark rabbit holes, right? And when you think critically all the time, you have voices in that dark tunnel because it's always dark. You don't get visions and dreams. You think about it critically and you give consent to the voices in your mind that controls you all the time, which is only a personality. It's an outside influence of your reality when you convey feelings to thoughts in the negative fields. When you think outside the mind with your natural motor skills, you have the light bulb idea, right? Which is the 6th way of thinking, the 6th sense. It's the 6th dimension upwards, dimensional thinking where you look from the outside in instead of the inside out. Instead of being stuck in the cave. Then you stick your light through your head through the light of the inner tunnel and you look back in. Now a child knew this because a child could mastermind a computer game and move 7 times faster than an can. Today, I want to give you the greatest lesson in the world. Maren, my wife, right? Okay, she got a diplomacy in marketing strategy and studied a computer for years. She can't function on a computer. She's been on computers and phones her whole life. Today, I take a phone in my hand. And you know what I do? I let the outside influence talk to me in such a way I can only feel the truth with that outside influence. And I'll sit down and go, put that one over there, that one there, just like a child does. I go back to my childhood, like Jesus said, to think instinctively and not to think mentally. And I go back to my childhood and remember what I did on that computer game that made me an absolute mastermind. And that's to think outside my mind, not with my mind. To let my personality, which is my outside influence, which is my spirit connection, which is my instinctive behavior outside my mind. The 9, the light, is sticking your head outside the cave. It's thinking outside the mind to master your mind. Then you're the master of your mind. Then you kind of like talk to yourself. You don't talk to the voice in your head anymore. Now you're using, you're talking to the voices in your mind all the time, but now you're using the outside influence, so you're talking to yourself from the outside in. And then you sit there like a child and don't worry about nothing. No stress, no fear, no anxiety, no confusion, no frustration, no delusion, no paranoia. None. You're free from the voice in your mind. And then you talk from the outside in. And you guide yourself because you're only a vessel. Your body's only a vessel. That's proven now in documents all over the world now, in the biggest mental health research as well. You're just a vessel, right? And we do have a spirit. And it's like you are inside, they call it a stimulation, right? Where you've got to learn how to function in life. You don't have a death experience. That's all about control in the psychological mind that controls us all the time to believe in these things. And it's very limited. Now we discover the truth, and the truth will set you free. And the liberation is sensational. But you see, here's a key factor. Go back to your childhood and think instinctively, and you can do what I can and more. These are facts. This is not fiction. It's reality. It's liberation.